Greetings, everyone. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with another episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and I use them together with input from anyone who happens to be in the live chat room at the time, like Chris Andrew, who says hi. Hello, Chris. Good to see you. And Michael Pastor. I will also say hi too. Good to see everyone. Yes, I use input from folks who are here, together with what's on the random encounter table, to create drawing prompts. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Drawing prompts that I kind of know the parts, but I've never put them together like that before. And then I draw cartoons based on them, all for your entertainment and mine. And I do this because I find this fun. It's something I do on my own, just for entertainment and to kind of spring ideas that I wouldn't come up with otherwise. And yeah, and to prove that it's fun, or because it's so much fun, I invite you to join me. Grab yourself a pen and paper or your favorite electronic drawing implement and draw along with me. You don't have to draw the same things I'm drawing. You don't even have to draw the same ideas I'm drawing. Draw whatever you want. Drawing is fun. And that's what I'm trying to capture and promote in this show. So there we go. Let's see what's going on here in the chat room. Great. Oh, yeah. Last night on my other show, 50 Years in the Dungeon, I had a good conversation with Chris Perkins. And folks in chat are saying that they were there and they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it too. I like that show. I always enjoy it. I'm talking to people, mostly people that I know to a greater or lesser extent. I've worked with or near them or interacted with them before. And it's always fun to sit down and have those conversations. But that's not what we're doing tonight. Tonight I am grabbing my iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil and using the app Procreate. None of which are sponsors for this. There are no sponsors for this show. Just me, though, as I say every episode, totally open to sponsorship if anyone wants to get in. Give me a call. Maybe I'll start knocking on doors. I don't know. All right, so I'm getting my pad ready here so I can share with you our encounter tables for the week. These are the encounter tables we're going to use to create some prompts and do some cartooning. So I'm going to switch over to the die rolling app and we're going to get going. Here we go. We're going to roll the dice, get it going, and 2. 2 is our first who, and going, and 6. 6 is our first what. So come back again, and we'll see that 2 is a vampire, and 6 is making an omelet. A vampire makes an omelet. Okay, I can deal with that. We'll turn off the tables and come over to our sketch layer. And I'm using my studio pen. I'm using a blue color to do my sketching with. Hello, Linnea. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Greetings, citizens. All right. So we're doing a vampire making an omelet. Now, zoom in a little just to get on this. Of course, have the vampire will be nice and skinny as vampires tend to be. Little pointy ears. Now I'm trying to figure out what might be a good... Vampires, of course, mostly drink blood. How can we work that as a gag into our omelet? Or maybe we just don't. Maybe that's a joke, can be something he's thinking as he's making the omelets. I don't know. What do you think? Is there a joke here, or it's, sometimes it's just good enough to do a drawing. And the whole point is the drawings, right? So I'm not worried if, in the end, all we get is a cute little drawing of of a vampire making an omelet, and there's no real gag to it. The thing I'm trying to think about is whether I want to give our vampire kind of a swept back hairdo a la Bela Lugosi, or just have him be a um, bald headed uh, Nosferatu kind of looking vampire. You guys have any thoughts on that? Which you'd prefer? Uh, Something about Bloody Mary with the omelet. That's yeah. Well, if it's for brunch, that makes that could be. I think that I'm gonna. This is a really good time for you guys to kind of chat amongst yourselves, see what you can come up with. I'll work just on the drawing, and then we'll see if a good what's the word I'm looking for? A good text to put in there. Text is not the word I'm looking for. Uh, what do you call that? What's never mind. The thing is sometimes when I'm doing this show in particular, I was talking about this last night with Chris Perkins, who was my guest on the show. That it's very easy for me to do the interview show because uh, I'm not making. I don't have to think about what I'm drawing. I'm drawing something that's already been drawn. So the part of my brain, it turns out, I guess, turns out the part of my brain that thinks about the problem in what to draw or creatively what to draw is the same part that that's involved in saying things and thinking up uh, interesting conversation. And the reason I can do an interview and draw at the same time is that I don't have to think about what I'm drawing. It's already been picked for me. Here, I'm trying to think about what to draw, and that makes it more difficult for me to sound intelligent when I talk. Hello, Dale Donovan. Thank you for joining in. All right, so we've got our vampire here. He's making an omelet, or at the very least, he's cooking some eggs. And there may or may not be some joke to go along with it. A caption. Caption is the word I couldn't think of before. There may be a caption to go along with it. That's your guys' assignment, is to brainstorm some ideas to play around with. I'll try and get this drawing done in the short end of the time I take, so we have some time to think about the caption and um, maybe adjust the drawing based on it if we've got a good caption idea. So I'm going to give him a big pointy-ish nose. Very angular vampire. Now I will, of course, when I come in to do the coloring, I'll have to figure out the uh, caption question before I do the coloring. Because once I do the coloring, I'm not going to want to have to erase that and and do line work. So, but for right now, I'm kind of happy with how that vampire is looking. He's right in that mix between horrific and goofy. The best kind of cartoon vampire. And give him a Batman clasp. Batman inspired bat clasp. And I don't know if you could tell from what I drew there, but I really want to give him big puffy sleeves. I feel like vampires, they always certainly have old fashioned taste, but I think vampires almost always want puffy sleeves. With nice uh, cuffs. There we go, looking good. And the stove where he will be, as they say, cooking with gas. Some of this, as I often will point out, drawing digitally allows me to not worry about some of the details until I get there. Like exactly how these eggshells and the hands overlap. To make it clear that he's holding an eggshell in his hand, like this. And then it's going to drip out over the fingers there. But because everything is so easily erased, I can do that. Alright, I think that we've got basically a good line drawing. So I'm about to look up and see what's been going on in the chat and see if you folks have come up with some line that I may want to modify the drawing with, or just stick in something he might be thinking, or something to add on. Let's see what's going on here. Don't add garlic, please. Yes, no garlic. Griddle cook and the waitress calling for the order, saying add extra garlic. That that would have needed to. That's like a diner gag more than a cooking, um, than necessarily the egg gag. Not that it wouldn't work here, but or not that it wouldn't work as a solution to this, but I would have needed to draw this as a much more of a. I'm going to zoom in here, so rather than having just the vampire be the thing, I would have needed to make him smaller so we could put in a view into the diner and have a little extra stuff going on. And as this is already filled up, I don't think I'm going to make that much of a redraw. What else have we got going on here? Something about the Bloody Mary. It's, um, the idea that something will bubble up in itself seems like the start of an idea for this. Anyone want a Bloody Mary with their omelet? Something along the lines of "Go suck an egg, go suck an egg." um, yeah, he's had a lot of practice. He can do the one hand cracking. Uh, yeah. Oh, I like that. Oh, Chris, I like that. I'll make the eggs any way you want, but not sunny side up. That's a good one. Let's let's see how to work with that. That's a that's um I was listening to another podcast I like to watch, a Comic Lab, where they were talking about the difference between an a, a funny idea and a finished joke. And I think that that line is a very very funny idea. It needs to, before it's a finished joke, in itself it's not there. Um, Not that it's bad, but it's not as good as it could be. So, actually, now that we've decided we're going to do that, I'm going to leave that to you guys to maybe play around with the sunny side up idea, phrasings for it, and how it might be added. And I will go and do the coloring while you guys think about that. So I'm going to switch to my gloaming brush, which gives me that crayony slash markery effect. And I'm going to do the. Well, actually, I'm going to look here. Without the sketches, I think that there's a couple of more lines I want to put in here just to. Just to do it. And um, you know what? If I hmm, dang it, I put those on the color layer. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna duplicate this color layer, and I'm gonna move it above the lines layer, and then I'm gonna merge those together like that, and now they're all on one line. Oh, and then I can clear the color layer and not lose those lines. All right, going back, I'm putting some more lines in here. But yes, if we're going to play around with this, if he's going to say to someone, you can have your egg, you can, how do you want your eggs? Any way but sunny side up. I just need to change. He can't be looking down at the eggs. He'll need to be looking back that way to someone else in the room. And I need to fix those eyes. They're not quite there yet. And I'll need to open his mouth up so that he's clearly talking. But I think, I like that. I think you guys have come up with something good there. And by you guys, I mean Chris definitely gets. Well, I mean it's all of you for sure. Chris gets main credit for having thrown that one out. But we're working as a team here. All right, so he's looking back, and he's going to be making omelets for someone, and I'm going to give those half-lidded eyelids to give him that, which means that friendlier look. Which means I can get rid of those lids over his eyes. These things I put above here like that, those were his lids when his eyes were fully open. But since he's half lidded, I get rid of those. Put a couple of more little lines on here so that it works. Everything's working nice. All right, great. Now we're going to go back to the colors and the gloaming brush. I think that that little change between what you said and making the eyes look in the other way make that line work so much better as we had it. Clearly he's talking to someone else. And now the drawing says that he's making these eggs for someone else. Doesn't even matter who. I want a darker purple for his eyelids. All right, and then we're going to have a faux black for the cloak. Can you see my shape within a shape thing taking shape, as it were? Don't use the same word too many times. It never sounds good. And we can have red for the lining of the cape, because he's a traditionalist. We'll give him red for the, I don't know, cummerbund? I'm not sure what he's wearing. And we're going to go with a bluish gray for the shading on the shirt, because it's a white shirt. Like so. What else do we need? Oh, gotta come over here. I'm gonna use a different color for the slightly different color for the pan. So it's not quite as dark as the cloak. And we're going to use a more blue for the egg, so it looks like a cleaner white. Use the same thing for the shell. And as I often say, you know, when we're trying to get those shadings for things that are white, varying what color the shading is makes it the different whites seem different. And we know that in the world, the difference between a pure white and a dirty white, or a white, a kind of beigey off white, there are many things we could call white and might mostly want to be white in the drawing. If you change which color you're doing the shading with, that changes the perception of the white itself. Because the human brain is a funny thing. It's not dark enough. There we go. Just a little bit of shading here. Just a bit. We don't need a lot. This is a drawing that is taking care of itself in that regard. It's got a good sense for depth and context. All right. There we go. What else do we need? Of course, we haven't done the stove or the fire that we're cooking with. A little too thick there. Okay. All right. I'm getting ready to look back up and see what we got going on there in the chat, and then we'll add a caption, because I remembered the word this time, to this drawing, and we'll wrap it up. Okay, what do we got going on here? I don't do sunny side up. I only don't do them Sundays. All right, so now we're gonna switch back to the lines layer. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go to the sketch layer so I can put this line in. Lettering's a little tough. You want to make sure you get it right. And I'm gonna mess around on the sketch layer rather than the lines layer. I'm gonna say. How do you want them? How do you like them? How do you want them? Yeah, how do you want them? Not sunny side up, I hope. It's a truism that all that the people always want to use their own versions of things rather than take someone else's. Here, so yeah, anything but sensitive. How do you want them? Not sunny side up, I hope. Look at me. I'm so mean to you guys. I ask you to do all this work and then I just do it anyway. I just do it my own way. I guess that's why I decided to have my own show so I could do it my own way. But I really do appreciate you. I would. This is your joke. I'm just doing my interpretation of it. This reminds me of when I was in college. My roommate and I both were doing comics for a small newsletter, weekly newspaper. It wasn't really a newspaper, but weekly newsletter on campus. And one week, he didn't have time to do his, so he had an idea for a comic, and I drew it for him. I was a better cartoonist. Or, that's not fair. My art was more polished than his, so he was happy to let me do the art for one of his episodes, and he gave me the idea with a basic script. But I looked at it and I saw where a couple of jokes could go, so I just put them in there. And he never complained, but all our other friends gave me crap for not for rewriting his cartoon. And I feel like that's what I did here too. So Chris, I feel like I should apologize for taking your idea and saying that I wanted you to write me the gag, and you did in a way that works, and all I did was rewrite it. But there we go. I'm gonna find a good spot. Where's a good spot to sign? Down on the stove. Gonna put my stand there, and we have ourselves a vampire making eggs. It's not even omelets anymore. He's making eggs. But there we go. How do you want them? Not sunny side up, I hope. Because as I'm the editor, I'm allowed. Yeah, I am. It's not like I don't feel like I don't have the right, but the thing about collaboration is you need to be considerate of your collaborators. And so even when it's my final decision, but I want to be considerate of my collaborators. Hello, David Lemon. Thank you for joining us. Chris says it's a team effort. Clearly, cheers to you, Chris. Teamwork, team player too. Okay. Woo! Vampire making eggs. Oh, is everyone having a good week? Having a good week? We've had a turn of actual winter weather here in the Pacific Northwest. We have, by and large, very mild winters, usually with a lot Oh, I don't know if you can hear the helicopter thumping in again. Hmm. Been doing that more often. Get these loud helicopters come thumping right over top, and I don't know why. Hello, Fox Trick. Thank you for joining us. Um, yeah, so we usually have very mild winters, but every once in a while, once or twice every winter, we have uh, weeks where the temperature drops down into the 20s or maybe even the teens, and sometimes we get snow. And we've had a little bit of snow the almost every day this week. None of it has really accumulated much, but uh, um, it's real winter weather. And the thing is, this is not a secret. I was like, let me tell you a secret about Seattle, but this is not a secret. The people around here are terrible drivers in the snow and or ice or any kind of slick road surface. So I grew up in an area of the country, part of the country where we had plenty of snow, and I learned how to drive in the snow, and you know spent most of the winter with snow or partially ice covered streets and drove around. Around here, the minute it snows, I say, I'm not going out there. I am not getting on the roads. And it's not because, now, in part, they don't have a lot of plows or they certainly have no sanders or anything like that. But the roads are not so bad. But the people just get crazy. And there's nothing I can do about that. So I, I've stayed home. I don't think I've left the apartment since Saturday. I feel safer that way. Thankfully, I had uh, enough uh, stock. I just gone grocery shopping. I got everything I need. I ordered in pizza and extras and added that to the refrigerator. So I haven't had to leave, but I think that it's getting to the point where I probably should go out, maybe tomorrow or over the weekend. Anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So here we go. We finished. Let me just switch up here and get everything ready. We'll turn on the encounter tables. We'll turn on round 2 and get that ready. Go back. So it's all set up. We had a very good first time out. Had a good suggestion from the chat room and had a lot of fun. We drew ourselves a vampire making eggs, not making an omelet. Turned out he was just making regular old eggs. But now it's time to jump in and move on to our second drawing of the evening. So I'm going to come over to the die roller and we'll get ourselves another who and another what. So get that going, rolling, and 1 is our second who, and 4, 1 and 4. Let's set this aside, and that's not going to do me any good. This is what I'm drawing on. All right, 1 and 4. So that is a demon with the flu. Oh, poor demon. Oh, Dave says it snowed here, and Gus decided to camp out in the backyard. Some winter camping in the backyard. Tony Truskowski, how are you? Welcome to the show. We got a demon with the flu is our next drawing subject. So I'm going to turn that off, and we'll come back here and figure. All right, so we got a demon, maybe demon devil, doesn't really matter. I already have an idea. I don't know. So I say that these are all random and not prepared. Certainly, I think some about it when I'm setting up the uh, see, I told you I can't draw and talk at the same time. When I'm setting up the tables, I try not to think about it too much because I want it to really be a nice um, improv drawing. But I think about it some. I didn't come up with a demon. Uh, I don't have a preset idea of what I might do if I got a demon in having the flu. But I also sometimes wonder when an idea this comes out and an idea just springs in my head. Was my subconscious working on this? Did I have this premeditated? Because I've got an idea here and I'm gonna run with it. Which is to say, I already have the gag to go with this drawing. And I suppose I will let you in on that in a bit after I do some drawing because I want to surprise you a little. We got a demon, or I think it's gonna look more like a devil. With the flu. I don't know if you can see what I'm drawing here. I'm putting in just enough little references for myself. All right, that will do. So let me just pull that a little bigger on the page. And we'll start drawing, and I will. This one, I'm not. Although, if you have ideas, throw them out for what might be said here. But I've got a good idea of what I want to say, and I'm going to start here drawing with our guy who has the flu. We want him to look set. We want him to look miserable, right? Yeah, I mean, you feel miserable when you've got flu, and part of that having that slitted eyes and kind of the puffy uh, little circles under his eyes. It's part of it. We want him to look unhappy, or that's what I want. There's two ways. I mean, there's a second joke. Now, this is not the joke I'm going with, right? But it could be that the demon is just happy, you know, to have the flu because he's miserable, and that's what you want. Kind of an Adams Family kind of joke, right? Who's happy because they have the flu? But it's not the joke I'm going for here. I start thinking about other jokes that could go along with the demon and the flu, right? He could be happy to have the flu because he can spread it to everyone else, all the people that are getting tortured. And we've got him in his feet in a bucket that very there's a lot of things in doing cartoons. You I often will say this. You want to do things in shorthand and in um, cliches, but not too cliche. And there are things we do like have someone soaking their feet in a hot tub. Who does that anymore? I don't know that I know anyone who's actually ever done that. But I know that it's one of those universal cliches for someone being sick. Something you do it and it communicates. It doesn't matter that it's not real. If you, as the audience, will see that and think, "Oh, I get it. He's soaking his feet in a hot tub because he's sick," then it works. But in the same way that the icons on your computer are quickly becoming outdated, the the floppy disk and the phone, the old style phone that younger folk today don't even know what they're supposed to be. Don't understand. All they know is that that's what the icon is. Right. This is a version of that. This soaking their feet in hot water. Who does that? Who does that? Do you? I mean, does anyone here? Did you ever have any of your uh, older relatives, a grandmother or a grandfather, or someone who actually did that? They weren't feeling good, so they soaked their feet in hot water. You're definitely turning more into devils and demons. In the rest of the world, that doesn't matter. In D&D world, it clearly does. There is a definite difference between a devil and a demon. Hmm. Got messages on my phone. Let's turn that off. Sorry. Friends of mine having a conversation, and it's going to keep dinging if I don't turn that off. All right. And now I'm going to have a little bit of background here with a stalactite, or stalagmite, excuse me. And you know what? I'll do the flames in color. The flames of hell. Flames of the Underworld. Let me see what you guys. Maybe you guys have a better idea than I do. Because at this point, I'm getting ready to put that in. No, you know what? I'll do the coloring and then we'll work on that like I did last time. Because I think this drawing is not changing. I'm just going to pick the caption that best suits it. And I will tell you that my wow, I really do need to go in and add some more lines. Let's do the coloring first, though. My thought for what this is, what they're going to be saying, is something like this guy on the left here is going to be saying, "You think you've got a fever? How? Oh, wow, yeah, no. Clearly, I need to think this through. Yeah, you you've got the flu or you got a fever. How does that even happen? Right? Oh, you. I looked up and I saw. I think you already have a better idea than that, or a better wording than that. Good for you. Again, teamwork. Teamwork. You've got the flu. You've got the flu. Something like that. That's the emotion that I've of the idea that I came up with for this. That you're. I mean, it might even forget about the flu. It might even be, you think you've got a fever. How can you tell? That you know what? That's it. That's clearly I can tell. That's what I had been thinking. Is this guy would be saying, "You think you've got a fever in hell? How can you tell?" Or so what? Something like that. So I'm gonna look when I'm done with the drawing. I'm gonna look and see how well you guys have improved on that because beginning to get the feeling that you will have. You for sure will have improved on that. And then maybe I'll do what I want anyway, because as we determined earlier, that's just what I do. All right, and then in the background, you know what I'm going to do? It one more. I'm going to do an extra layer for the fires, so that I can put them in here and then erase them from the places I don't want. So here I can color behind this guy's arms because I'll just come in and erase it. And we'll do a red to go along with it, but it'll be a lighter red. Here we go. All right. I think that's it for the drawing. Well, come back to my main coloring layer, and we will add on a little bit of shading. To help with the, make this just a little more texture and sense of three-dimensionality. Go. That's looking good. Okay. Oh, just one last bit. The tub. Given I've given some shading on everything else, the tub needs it, or it feels very flat. It didn't until the other things around it got the shading. Okay. All right, I'm gonna look up here and see what you guys say. Let me see. Let me guess. You got sick trying to make hell freeze over again. That's funny. um, I used a bucket of hot water to steam my sinuses. Oh, okay. You know, I've seen that, but that's a smaller bucket, and you sit over it. This whole soaking your feet is a different thing. So yeah, no, good catch on the people using hot water like that. Hell is devils too. The abyss. Okay, fair enough. You can't call in sick to work. This is hell. That's uh, how can you tell? Yeah, there, Michael. So you were on the uh, same line as me. We're in hell, and you think you have a fever. Um, must be a devil. Demons are immune to disease. Let's see. I have an embarrassment of choices there. Yes, a lot of good ideas. You guys are awesome. Okay, so we'll come back to the sketch layer, so I can sketch in what I'm gonna write. So lots of good ideas there. Had looking here. Uh, how can you tell? You can't call in sick. I think you can't call in sick. This is hell. I'm kind of torn between the. You've got a fever. How can you tell? And the you can't call in sick. Those are both really good. Those are both really good. Hmm. He pondered. Oop. It could be. You think you've. Think you got a fever in hell? Like that? That's one way to do it. um, the other way would be with the same basic setup. It's like you can't call in sick. This is hell. Those are our two choices. I like them both, but I gotta pick one. And again, here's the thing where if I was doing this for sale, if I was doing this to pitch it, I'd write them both down on the page and put this aside and come back to it in a day or two. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Again, it's close. It's closer to what my original thought was. Um, and uh, and maybe that's the only reason that my gut is telling me go with this one. But really, if it was really what I would do, what I would most want to do is set this aside and come back to it in a day or two after my brain has let go of my original idea and I can look at it with a clearer set of eyes. In hell, or how can you tell? Let's think you got a fever. Think how can you tell? Again, yeah, so we've got two or three versions of this, which are all competing. And I think all are really good. I'm not sure I've picked the best one, but I'm sure I've picked the one that is working for my brain right now. That's all I can do. Turn off the sketch layer and come back. I guess now I need to erase part of that flame because it's behind there. You think you got a fever? How can you tell? All right. I, I'm feeling a little bad for the choices not made. I think we got three winners, and I will I will open this up in a few days and look at it and decide and re-examine whether I made the right choice. But this is the one we made for tonight because we're doing quick drawings here. Put my little stand. Oop. Come back to the right layer. Come to the lines layer. Put my stand there at the bottom. And we have ourselves a, a devil with the flu. And three really good jokes, two of which are yours. I don't. You know, I'm not even sure right now whether this is a mix-up or I'm going for my idea. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm gonna stop thinking about it. Stop thinking about it, Stan. Don't think so much. Michael Patch says I copied them all down. And yeah, and there were a bunch of others that worked too. There were a lot of good. You guys came up with a lot of good ideas on this one. Good job. Well done. Cheers to you. You get right in there and start exposing the damned right now. Yes. No, there's so much. You know what? There's a good little storyline. You do a good one page or two page um, comic, you know, multi panel comic with that idea, or even a three panel comic. There's a lot. There's a lot more here than I would have thought when I rolled that up. So I'm going to. Sorry, I'm fiddling around with my computer to get everything to lay straight again. I'm going to take this and I'm going to close it out. Turn on round 3. Turn back on our encounter tables. Set it aside and have myself one more sip, and we'll go back. We'll do a third draw. we we had a lot of good ideas for that second drawing, the devil with the flu or demon with the flu. If you weren't watching that and you're skipping ahead, go back and watch that second one. A lot of good ideas. I could only choose one, and I'm not sure I chose the best one. But there's only so much time, and I want to do a third drawing tonight, so it's time to go back to the encounter tables, back to the die roller, and we'll do one more, and then we'll call it an evening. So we come over here, and we start rolling the dice. Rolling, and no. Three is our who, and rolling. 2, 3 and 2 will get us an alligator serving tea. Oh my! Oh, how proper. Yes, we shall have an alligator serving tea. That will be our third drawing. So I turn on the blue pencil, make sure I'm on the right inking pencil, and the right layers, sketches on round 3. We got an alligator serving tea. All right, so it might actually need to be longer, but here's a good start for our alligator. I'm not sure about this back part here, whether the alligator is going to be standing up or hunched over. But the alligator will be pouring tea. I guess one of the questions will be, for whom is the alligator pouring tea? We can have a stump, a stump of a log that he's pouring the tea on. We've got the alligator's tail up there like that, yeah. Who should the alligator be having tea with? And it could be another alligator, but I think some kind of smaller creature here. I'll leave that blank for a second. I'll work on the alligator. But that's the question in this drawing that I'm leaving open for you guys is who is that? All right, I think I've got everything I need here for my alligator. I'll jump ahead and start putting in some lines as I still leave it um, to you folks to figure out who that is over there. And I'll go in and draw that later because that can be done after the alligator's through. And yes, it could be a crocodile. I don't know. I'll be honest. I never remember which, uh, from a real world um, physiology perspective. I don't remember. I know that one of them has a shorter, wider snout, and one of them has a longer, thinner snout. And I'm not sure. And I've clearly drawn whichever one has a longer, thinner snout. So this may actually be a crocodile if you ask any uh, herpetologist or herpetologists or snakes in particular, whatever you would call a reptologist. I realize that I've done that, but had to choose one design, and that's the one I've chosen. I imagine that when I look up, you know what? I'm already imagining that when I look up, Dave will already have answered, and probably before I asked it, and told me whether I got it right or wrong. Because this is the kind of thing I expect Dave to know. Or now that I've said it, if he doesn't know, he'll look it up and pretend that he knew. But I expected he knew it. And who knows? Maybe several of you did. Maybe I hang out with a classy, smart group of people. And I'm talking about you when I say that. And all the rest of this doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but all this will be the same no matter what. But I still am looking forward to what you guys are going to tell me for who it is that this alligator is pouring tea for. And then I can draw that critter in too. Put some rings on the top. Put some more detail here on the stump. Put a little indication of some decoration on the china. And I think I'm about ready. About ready to look up and find out who is it. Who is it? I don't know. Who is it? What do we got? Crocodiles are so déclassé. They add cream afterwards. Gators are U-shaped. Crocs are V-shaped, says Dave. There you go. I clearly drew a crocodile. Herpetologist? So it is herpetologist. Okay. Could be having tea with a plover? I don't know what a plover is. Alligators should be A-shaped, but they're not. That's how, yeah. See you later, alligator. All right, but you know what we don't have here is a suggestion for. Well, no, we have the plover, but I don't know what a plover is, so that's not helpful to me. And the fault is, probably mine. But all right, let's go back to our sketch layer, and got to put something in there. It's still stalling to see if anyone types anything in the chat room. Um, it could be a bunny rabbit. That's what I'm leaning toward right now. Cute little bunny rabbit. Could be possum. Possum would be a little harder for me to figure out how to draw. Plovers are those birds that go into the crocodile's mouth and pick stuff out of their teeth. Oh. If I was going to draw a crocodile pouring tea for a plover, I would put the I would have the crocodile pouring tea into its own mouth and the plover pose there. That would be a funny gag too. A very scared looking bunny rabbit. I suppose we're still on the sketch layer. So if I wanted to make the bunny rabbit scared, I'd probably make the crocodile look angry, and then the bunny would be over here going, "Yes." Um, I kind of like the crocodile being friendly. I guess the bunny could still be scared because he's not sure. Like this. Pogo, yeah, Pogo, a possum like Pogo would be interesting. Pogo had a Big sweep of hair. I'm not sure I could draw Pogo without a reference. Then, of course, I would probably want to give the alligator. What's Albert? Albert was the alligator's name. Want to have him a little a short cigar like Albert had. You know what? I don't want him to be scared. I wanted this to be a happy drawing. I think I want. Maybe I've had too many unhappinesses in our week. I want to end with a happy drawing. All right. And if you in your internal story for what's going on here want to say that the alligator is just setting the rabbit up for unhappiness, go ahead. It's your story. But in my drawing and in my head, this is a happy story. And they're gonna have a nice tea and everything's gonna be okay. You know what? I like this. I kind of wish I'd drawn it a little smaller so I could finish the alligator. The alligator didn't run off the side there. Yeah, I might redraw this as a more finished piece. Who knows? Maybe I'll come up with a whole story about what's going on here and have a new kids book. But we're going to turn the sketch layer off and see what we've got. Where do we need a few extra lines here? Where do we need a few extra lines just to finish things up? Tighten it up a little. Clean that up here. Need a little something here for the bunny rabbit. All right. I think that's it. You know what? It's a little weird down here. This whole what's going on, where the rabbit's hind leg and tail end, and how that goes in um, with the end of the stump. I think I need to either bring the rabbit in to end closer out there, or further out and then draw the back of the rabbit. But I think I'm gonna pull it in. That goes in that you'll often hear me talking about unintended um, unintended uh, tangents, tangents, tangents. Yeah, there we go. You want it to be clear line wise what is touching what and where they meet up and what's in front of what. And if lines get too close to each other, it causes visual confusion. And so we're going to go to the colors layer. We'll switch over to our gloaming brush again, and we will start putting in some colors. Staying in my shape within a shape idea. I was watching a YouTube video this week about coloring, and they have a similar idea. The person I was watching had a similar idea that they phrase differently, but they were definitely talking about the idea that when you're coloring, don't fill the space up entirely. And they were saying it because they specifically were talking about coloring with markers and saying that when you if you fill the space up entirely, then it's hard for you to put extra colors in or to cause things to blend. You want to leave space. So in fact, rather than what I'm doing, they'd be saying you want to color with a bunch of unconnected areas. I and then you would add other colors into it, and you could blend them together. But they're specifically talking about working with physical media. You don't have to worry about that as much when you're doing things digitally. If I wanted to get color in an area, I could erase and make that happen. See a pale yellow for the underbelly. And a darker green for the ridges. And there's some shading here. Like that. I think I might want to come in here and put a little very light blue in the eyeball so it doesn't look quite so flat. Gives, again, an idea of a shape. And that same nice clean blue I'm going to use as a coloring on the china so it looks white. And then a darker version for the insides of the cups. And I'm going to go with a very, very sharp blue for the decoration on the china. Let's see, we need a nice, delicious brown tea. Doesn't that look yummy? And a different brown for the stump. Much, much lighter version for the top of the stump. And then our bunny rabbit. That's the very first thing I'm going to do is give him a pink nose. That's not very pink. There we go. Inside of the ears, also pink. Maybe that's too pink. In fact, yes, both of those. The nose and the ears will go for that same lighter pink. And, I don't know. Maybe a blue-gray? A gray hair? I was thinking about white at first, but I don't think I want the rabbit to be all white. I want the tail to be white for sure. There we go. What do I need? I need to add a little bit of shading on the stump, and so that we can play up that idea that it is three-dimensional, has a little bit of texture to it. Don't really need it on the top, but we definitely need it on the side. So the idea of the roots springing out, so it doesn't look like a flat tube of a thing. Maybe a little darker than that in a couple of spots. Go. Yeah, I think that's it. And if I was going to do a little more, what I might do, and I'm going to put it on here and then take it off. So I'd come in and get a green, and maybe do some kind of green canopy above, for the idea that this was in a swamp somewhere. But they would take it, in order to do that well. It would take a little more detail, and I'd have to think it out. And we're running to the point where it's time to wrap up, and I think this is looking fine as it is. So I'll come back here to my lines layer, and I will add a stand down here at the bottom, because we have an alligator serving tea. All fine and refined. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Croc's colors are too light, more green. Gators are darker. All right. See the things I'm learning, and as I said, I had a feeling Dave would have some good information for us. He might make a nice updated Stan birthday card. Yeah, you know what? This would be I do a lot of monstery birthday cards. This might be a start for a more kid-friendly birthday card. The more I look at this, the more I'm just kind of charmed by my own cartoon. I may be going back and doing a more completed version of this. If so, I'll try to remember to bring it back one week and show it to you folks here. Yes. That was fun. That's good. You know what? I always have fun hanging out here and doing these drawings, but today was especially fun, and you guys are to thank for that. Everglades meetup, says Linnea. I see that now. He's a lagomorph. He is. He's the county's best lagomorph-headed boy. He's a lagomorph. Look it up. For those of you who don't know, that's a Sam and Max reference. And if you don't know who Sam and Max are, you should look that up. You have a lot of very funny reading ahead of you. Or if you have the right emulator, computer games too. Anyway, I'm gonna have one more sip and then we'll do a wrap up and close it for the evening. There we go. We got an alligator, an alligator or crocodile. We haven't really figured out which. I think Dave was telling me this is actually crocodile, but the dice said alligator. We've got some kind of critter, some kind of swamp critter, having a nice friendly tea. And that was our third drawing for the evening. We, of course, went a little earlier. We had a demon or a devil with the flu, and we started off with a vampire making eggs. And a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun in the chat room. If you guys have skipped ahead to here and you're overlooking the fun of it, go back and watch it again. This was a good night. And all thanks to the fine folks who joined me in the live chat, who include Michael Pastor, David Lemon, Linnea Lemon, Tony Tresosky, Chris Andrew, Dale Donovan, and probably some other people whose names I'm missing as I scroll back here. We had Fox Trick, and I know watching at the seeing my little number, my tracker, I can see more people have been watching. I thank you for showing up too. You don't have to chat. You're always welcome to, but you don't have to. I'm just glad you're here. If you're watching on replay, I'm glad you're here too. Thank you very much for coming and joining our evening of improv cartooning. I will be back next week with another Random Encounters episode. We'll do some more improv cartooning. In the meanwhile, I talk about pulling out your pad and paper or your electronic drawing implement and drawing while we're doing this. Why don't you do that during the week too? Make a little time. Give yourself a treat. Some evening, some afternoon. Just do a little drawing for the fun of it. You can replicate what we're doing here and just randomly look around your area, find a thing and pair it with another thing, or flip through a book or flip around on TV and find two ideas that were not related, put them together and draw that. Trust me, it's fun. So, until next time. Oh, if you do that, please let me know. And, I often forget to say this. Those of you who are watching live or on replay, if you could take a minute and go whatever platform you're looking on, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, give it a heart, whatever it is that your particular platform is giving you as an option. It's very helpful to me. It's helpful for getting to share this show with other people. And boy, we want other people to have the same fun we're doing. Don't we? Don't we? Yes, we do. So I'd really appreciate it if you give me the thumbs up. After this is on replay, if you could also just drop a little comment in the comment section. That is another thing that helps the algorithm. We always talk about that as a terrible thing. The algorithm is helpful. The algorithm is what shares this with other people. And you leaving comments and interacting with the video is what tells the algorithm that it's worth doing that with. So again, I would greatly appreciate it if you took the time just to give a little comment saying, had fun in the episode, or I thought you should have done that. It can certainly, if you have suggestions for me, put them in there. I'll be glad to get them. So, now having done all that, I'm going to go off and finish the rest of my evening. I've had a good time hanging out with you guys, as I always do. Thank you for stopping by. Join me next week. Till then, take care. Bye now.